Agroecology is a new way of conceiving how food is to be produced. It is based on the idea that instead of domesticating nature, mastering it and reducing it to something simple, we should accept it is complex. We should use this complexity as an asset, and we should diversify production by combining different plants with trees, with animals, in order to reconstitute at the field level the interactions between these different elements of nature. Over the past 50 or 60 years, the tendency in the European Union has been to reward economies of scale, large-scale production, mechanization, monocultures, in the name of increasing production and efficiency. And that has been extremely damaging for the health of the soils, for the preservation of biodiversity, for even the health of consumers, because they were more and more accustomed to consuming heavily processed foods, and farmers themselves have become input providers for the agri-food processors. And it is a system that is now showing its limits, and that must be reformed significantly. And therefore there is a mismatch between the professed intention of the successive reforms of the Common Agricultural Policy, which is to green it, to make it more environmentally sustainable, and the signals that are sent, the economic incentives that are introduced by the system of subsidies that basically reward large-scale producers. And for this reason, I think it's the Common Agricultural Policy is in need of a much more systematic reform that would reward producers, that provide environmental services, that support really the development of agro-biodiversity on European farms, but we are still very far from that vision. We have some interesting initiatives that are taken today to promote agroecology. And for example, the French law that was adopted to promote the groupement d'intérêt économique et environnemental and to support agroecological transitions is an interesting example in this regard. But the problem is you cannot simply focus on the side of production. So we need a revolution in how we eat. Gradually this is taking place. More and more parents are concerned about the health of their children. Schools are trying to provide food in school canteens that is healthier. Agroecology should not be reduced to a series of agronomic techniques such as agroforestry, the use of leguminous plants to fertilize the soils, the use of small animals to fertilize the soils, harvesting rainwater and so on. Agroecology is also about a different relationship to food and a different way of organizing food systems. It's important to realize that agroecology is highly dependent on the local context. The local resources, the quality of the soils, the type of tree that you can grow, the type of combination of different plants that you can imagine. And therefore, it is not very easy to present agroecology on a European scale, for example, as one single recipe that should be applied everywhere.
Mungkinkah untuk memahami agroekologi dari sudut pandang yang berbeda? Apa saja pendekatan ilmiahnya? Apa praktik yang terkait dengan agroekologi? Apa aspek sosialnya? Dan bagaimana agroekologi dapat diajarkan? Di Italia, penerapan agroekologi sudah dilakukan cukup lama. Pendekatan teknisnya dilakukan melalui sistem pertanian itu sendiri dan sangat menarik untuk melihat bagaimana pemangku kepentingan yang berbeda.
So the Italian way of doing agroecology has four many components. The first component is tradition. The second component is ecology. The third component is system thinking, and the fourth component is system practice. In Italy, we have an old academic tradition in agricultural sciences. And the first agronomy who taught in that period was Pietro Cuppari, who can today be considered as the first proto-agroecologist. He was able to establish a theory that we can call the theory of the organic farm, where he regarded a farm as a living body. He was able to establish at least three important and main components. These components were crops, livestock, and soil. In the same way, when you consider the landscape, you can consider the landscape as a mosaic of farms. And so you can identify that between and among farms in a territory, there must be some linkages, some kind of relationships that today can be identified in the new concept of biodistricts.
The agroecological transition in Italy is very connected with the territorial organic farming development. A biodistrict or ecoregion is a territory where producers, consumers and public administrators work together for the sustainable management of natural resources. In 2014 was held the International Network of Ecoregions, and actually in Europe we have about 20 ecoregions.
If you have to organize, according to the theory of organic farm, a kind of management of the farm, you need to increase biodiversity in several ways. It's important to understand what kind of sequence of crops can enhance the soil organic matter. You have to establish these virtual circuits in a farm. In this way you can establish sustainability at the farm level and at the field level.
Agroekologi tentu sangat terkait dengan pertanian organik. Ini juga terkait dengan konservasi, keterampilan, dan pengetahuan tradisional. Di kebun salas, keluarga yang berbeda menanam makanan mereka sendiri dengan praktik leluhur mereka.
The Salas garden have an area of 800 hectares divided into little family plots, and each piece of land is served by a source of water. Every family make his own plot with different vegetables, and this system is a system that was used 1,000 years ago. Our work is to keep the seeds, the ancient seeds. The gardeners are making a research of all the seeds. They made a bank of fruits, seeds. With this bank of fruits, what they do is every year they plant a different kind of fruit, so they can preserve different kind of apple. And in our bank, almost 90 different variety of apple, 90 pears, and more than 50 cherries, apricot, and so on. The water irrigates the grounds through a system of major and minor ditches, medieval ditches. And the farm, they just use this system with this canal that goes on the side of the plot, and they break, so they do many little canals inside the plot, inside the vegetables.
Di Slovenia, banyak praktik pertanian yang masih tradisional. Selama bertahun-tahun, Mereka berusaha untuk menyesuaikan sistem mereka dengan lingkungan demi terwujudnya agroekologi di sana.
In Slovenia, if we think about agroecological practices, we have a lot of traditional knowledge still practiced in the field or at the farms, and these kind of traditions are still used, especially on the part-time farms. There are small farms where farmer also works somewhere else, and they don't really use new technologies a lot because they're expensive and they're sometimes also complicated, but they use a lot of traditional approaches in managing the farm. The benefits of agroecology for Slovenia could be numerous because it would enable to formalize some traditional approaches of farming and include them into the day-to-day activity of farmers, which would be, so in this case, more sustainable. So we have, for example, good developed sustainable beekeeping approaches and activities. There is a good traditional and still active tradition of preparing some meat products on farms. We have a tradition of use of wood as a renewable source of material, and it was passed from generation to generation in this traditional way through the family or from neighbor to neighbor. This transfer was interrupted. Now we want to do it another way through formal, informal or non-formal education, where the knowledges which would also be scientifically proved would be passed to people, to interested people who would like to practice it then.
Pengetahuan yang terkait dengan agroekologi sangat penting untuk diajarkan kepada mereka yang benar-benar ingin mengembangkan sistem ini. Dengan metode edukasi yang mendalam, mereka yang tertarik untuk mempelajarinya dapat menerapkannya sebagai alternatif gaya hidup yang terkait dengan alam. Poligondol adalah salah satu tempat edukasi tersebut.
Poligondole, it is in municipality Polčane. It is the area only with 1.5 hectares, and on the polygon we have 3 alternative buildings. The Hobbit house with the temperature 15 degrees in whole year, and it is like our place for production, what we here produce, and like a meeting zone for the people. And this is the region of the production. Then we have greenhouse. In winter we have all our production in greenhouse only with this natural production, but important it is we use the layer. First is the wood, then is the sheep wool, and after then it is the soil. For evapotranspiration, then stay a lot of time there. And yurt is Mongolian house and is completely from the natural materials, wood and wool. Permaculture, it's not only the methods for producing some things for eating, but it's like planning how can you live next 10 or 20 years and how must you connect together what the nature have, it's mean natural potential with your wishes. The name Poligondole, it's like educational polygon because here we develop new approaches for different characteristics of soil and showed to the people how can they, with the soil, with atmosphere characteristic, with exposition and so, connect together all of these geographical characteristics to produce the eating for yourself. So knowledge about environment, it is very important, but in school it is only to understanding through information, but not from the investigation. And here we want to learn investigation environment. So we see young generation want and need to help practical experience in a real situation, and it will be, I think, like independent, self-sufficiency generation.
Berkat pengetahuan tentang lingkungan, maka menjadi mungkin untuk mengembangkan sistem yang disesuaikan dengan kondisi alam. Pengalaman dan investigasi dapat mengembangkan pendekatan kritis dan otonom, sehingga orang dapat mengatur sistem swasembada pangan mereka sendiri. Di Lithuania, agroekologi dapat diilustrasikan dengan pembangunan desa ekologi. Hal ini digunakan untuk mengubah cara hidup mereka menjadi lebih mandiri dan tertata. Inilah komunitas kecil yang bersinergi dengan alam.
This place is Kardokai Eco Village. My main idea to go to live in the nature with family was to find better conditions for family, better food, better water, better weather. Eco villages appear in Lithuania approximately 10 years ago, and now it's about 5 strong eco villages. They are not big, 5 families or 7 families. All this movement is that all the families are independent and want to create their sustainable life in the nature. There are 13 plots in our village. Every family had from 1 hectare to 2.5 hectares. The straw bale house is quite simple. It is carcass wooden house, filled with straw bale inside as isolation material. All construction and isolation is closed by plaster made from the clay and gravel. We use permaculture principles in our garden. We do mixed seeding of the plants, and all the grass what we cut around the house in our yard we use for the garden mulching. And we find a lot of new things what we can do, take experience to build own house, take experience new activity. So it's place for realization.
Di sini, mereka mencoba praktik pertanian seperti permakultur. Mereka menyesuaikan praktik mereka dengan lingkungan untuk berproduksi dengan kaidah alam. Pada skala yang berbeda, pertanian organik berkembang di Lithuania. Petani seperti Valentina Gens menggunakan praktik agroekologi sebagai landasan filosofi pertaniannya.
I understand agroecology as maintenance of the soil. I'm in favor of zero-tillage agriculture, where no plot is used for soil cultivation. I also use a multi-species cropping system, which makes it possible to keep an agricultural field green for 365 days per year. Due to climate warming, the autumn and spring periods these days tend to be longer. The method of zero-tillage is a way of growing crops from year to year without disturbing the soil through tillage, just protecting the soil from leaching of nutrients. In this field, I harvest crops with a cutter. It means that I only harvest the grains, winnowing them from the upright stems, which are later pressed to the ground with a roller. Such a method enables to carry out an anti-erosive function of the soil by protecting it from soil leaching and ensuring moisture preservation. There are continuous processes going on within the soil, regardless of the season, be it autumn, winter or spring. What we need in the soil is the coexistence of altogether a live plant, which is a supplier of sugar, and the dead plant. In such a way, equilibrium is formed between the so-called good and bad guys. It's imperative to maintain the positive balance in the soil. A multi-species cropping system is a complex system of cultivated and uncultivated plants. Cultural plants have to be integrated in such a way that some of them are regarded as primary crops and the other crops serve as auxiliary ones. Crops tend to carry out an overrunning function in such a way help each other grow. My plan for the future is not to leave any debt to my grandchildren. I am talking about the soil-related activities. The situation could be compared to the recipe of making soup. Even if the same ingredients are used, the taste of soup made by two hostesses will differ. However, I always use one basic ingredient. That is, I add a touch of love to whatever I do.
Untuk mengembangkan agroekologi, maka kita harus mengetahui cara kerja agroekosistem, yaitu bagaimana interaksi antara elemen yang berbeda seperti tanah, tumbuhan, serangga, dan sebagainya. Austria memiliki tradisi pertanian organik yang kuat, di mana kita akan menemukan agroekologi pada tingkatan yang lebih tinggi. Di University of Natural Resource and Life Science, peneliti mengerjakan praktik baru untuk meningkatkan interaksi antara tanaman, tanah, dan habitat alami, yang kemudian akan dimasukkan ke dalam sistem pertanian mereka.
Agroecology in Austria is mainly about, on the one hand, biodiversity, functional biodiversity, and on the other side, especially in organic farming, it is on nutrient cycling and closing cycles on the farms. Functional biodiversity, it's mainly on pest control, on the one hand by beneficials, and on the other hand pollination by honeybees and by wild bees. For testing the efficiency, the effects of natural structural elements like hedges, like weed strips, like grass strips. We do some testing of the vegetation in these landscape structures. For example, there's organic pea growing, and for these peas there's in many years usually some problem with aphids, and there's this potential of beneficials coming inside the fields from the margins, from the field strips, from the hedges, and they control the peas, and in some years this is very effective. And regarding the other aspect, which is mainly important in organic farming and low input farming systems, it is about closing nutrient cycles, especially on the farms without livestock, stockless organic farming, where the nutrient cycles are not closed and nutrients are exported with the commodities, with the products to the cities. Especially here in Austria, there's this approach of source separated collection of compost, which means already at the very beginning of the chain in the cities there's a separation of the organic material and the rest of the waste, and only the organic material then is prepared as compost from the cities, and this is controlled for pollutants, and then if it's okay, can be applied to the farms.